Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. This is Masuki Arts. Today we're going to be doing yet another chill paint with me video, and we're going to be painting yet another fairy slash elf girl. Shocker, I know I'm really, breaking down walls and getting out of my comfort zone here. I appreciate you guys listening to the rambles of one very tired art college student while I paint. That being said, I'll probably spend most of this video talking about the process of this piece, maybe a little bit about like what's going on in my classes and everything, and maybe just generally trying to keep things pretty casual as always with these paint with me videos. Pretty much, if you've been on my channel before, you know the vibe is always like chaotic casual, so might as well commit to it. So, fun fact about this drawing, it's actually been sitting in my sketchbook since like January or February as just a sketch. And then like 2 days ago, I looked through my sketchbook and I was like, I don't have any free pages anymore. This is it. I need to finish what's here that I want to finish and then abandon it and move on. And I almost didn't end up inking this piece. I was like looking at it and I was like, it's a little boring. There's not really much going on, but there were things I really liked about it too. Like I was just looking at like her nose, and it's kind of like almost that like Greek style nose. It's got like a little bump in it, which is really cute. I don't draw a ton of different styles of noses. I try to, like, and usually in my doodles and sketchbooks I do. But then in my paintings, I sometimes just really get into like my usual kind of comfort zone, and I don't end up branching out very much. But yeah, I really liked her nose. And then her lips were another one. She has some like really nice, cute lips in a style that I don't always draw. Like they've got like this little indent in the bottom. So I was like, okay, what do I have to add to this to make it so that I don't want to abandon it? And all I added were like some little flowers in her hair. She already had the flower crown with some details that I could really appreciate. Like there's this one consistent flower style that's kind of appearing in my collages and stuff. So I kind of liked that I'd added it in the sketch. And I liked the little like lily of the valley flowers that were hanging down too. So even though this piece is very chilled out and very minimalistic, it's not boring. We are interrupting this regularly scheduled program to tell you to go check out my Etsy shop. Since fairies have overtaken my sketchbook and my life, my shop has become the ultimate fairy lover's dream. With products ranging from stickers, pins, and prints to original paintings, I've got it all. All of my stickers are printed on waterproof vinyl, and my prints are on high-quality, durable, matte photo paper. So if you're watching this video, there's probably a fairy that's perfect for you. Whether you're looking for stickers, prints, paintings, or pins, head to www.etsy.com/shop/MasukiArtStudio. And my opinion pretty much completely changed on the idea that it even could be boring once I started adding color. Because I did have a lot of fun adding color. Her cheeks are like very messy red. Like I always give my characters red cheeks, but there's something like a little funky about the way that I painted them this time around. Something a little overworked maybe, I don't know, but I think it's interesting, especially since these days I don't really do like bust shot caricatures or anything. So it's kind of nice to get like a close-up on how I'd paint like a face like this. So I thought that was fun. And I gave her like this light blue eyeshadow and like my usual like bridge of color across the nose. This time I went for yellow. Usually it's yellow, but it's worth mentioning nonetheless. And something interesting about painting like portraits like this is I have to focus on a weakness of mine, and that is choosing a hair color for a character. Usually I save it for last, and it looks like that's what I did here. I usually suffer for it because I'm like trying to build the painting around the hair color, make sure everything kind of can be separated visually but is still unified, and that's hard to do when like a huge chunk of this portrait is not painted. But she already had like this rainbowy pastel kind of vibe going on, so I committed to it with the light pink flowers, and I ended up really having a good time painting these, especially with their like dark middles. I thought that's really nice. And once again, this is a flower style that's kind of popping up and some of my other collage paintings. So it's kind of funny. It feels like I've made up my own species of flower. And back to the topic of the hair, I ended up giving her blonde hair just because I felt like she already did have those like pastel kind of vibes to her. So I just thought I'd stick with it, and I'd use like some color in the background, just like random splashes to kind of bring her forward a little bit, which you'll see later in the process, obviously. But anyways, while that footage plays, I guess I'll just talk about like school. So I think last time I did a paint with me video, I did mention that we did like a metal project in my sculpture class, and I couldn't weld because I have chronic migraine and flashing lights don't really, they're not fun for me. So I didn't weld, I did soldering. And eventually I'll probably share the project that I did, because it was actually like, it turned out pretty sentimental for me. There are some things that I don't love about it, but I ended up using jewelry wire and like a soldering iron to create lily pads and a lotus, and then I took that and I put it on a layer of black poster board and some foam board for support. And then I used the frame that belonged to one of my family members who also was an artist, and it still had her gallery label and business card on it, so I ended up incorporating those into the piece. So it turned out really cool. So eventually, at some point, I will share those with you guys. And now we're working with wood. And I did not get the wood that I need in time, so currently I'm scrambling to either change my project to suit the wood that I could get from like my backyard, or I'm going to have to run out to the hardware store and see if I can find the wood, because my plan was to use big logs from my backyard, and I was going to carve those into like guinea pig bookends, because I am absolutely obsessed with guinea pigs and I have to get at least one project in per semester that's related to them, honestly. At least that's what I'm aiming for. But all the big logs that were out in my yard were already like sunken into the ground because we've just gotten so much rain over the past few months. So unfortunately, I would not have been able to salvage any of those for this project. They were already like, home to many bugs and like rotting away from the inside out. So I had to use like smaller sticks that I brought in, and I whittled a little guinea pig, and it's a very cute little guinea pig, and I'll share that with you guys eventually too. But as for my actual project, I will have to probably adapt it to something more along those lines to suit the material I have access to. And then in my drawing 2 class, I actually shared the piece on my Instagram story at one point, but we're designing like multiple animals in one animal type of thing. Like it's called like, I don't know, I don't remember what my professor called it, but we're just combining like 3 or more animals into one creature, and we have to make it look like it makes sense proportionally and everything, and kind of figure out like what it would look like, and maybe add a little mythology behind it and everything. And I combined a guinea pig, a swan, a Hawaiian monk seal, and a unicorn to create the very first North American guinea squeal. When that's officially done, I'll share like, some photos of it, probably on my Instagram story or on Ko-fi or Twitter or wherever. Probably all those places, really. I really love how he's turning out, and hopefully I don't have to change too much or overwork things before it's all done. I really feel like I'm getting close on that one to like having layered too many watercolors and things, because it's a watercolor and colored pencil project. At the beginning, I was planning to use chalk pastel in watercolor, like chalk pastel pencils, but then I was just like, this is kind of silly. Like, I know I like to use colored pencil and watercolor together because I've done it 1,000,000,001 times, so why not? And so I went with it. I would have used gouache, but when we started the project, I only had my watercolor palette in my bag and I didn't have my gouache stuff with me, which I felt a little silly because I usually carry all that stuff around like a crazy person, but I just used what I had. So yeah, that's going well. And fun fact, I was going to use my own guinea pigs as reference, but then when I was sitting there sketching out this like mutation creature, you know, this combination, this unholy combination of animals that should not exist together as one creature, I was like, this is kind of sad and hard to do, so I just went online and found a guinea pig reference picture instead. And then I was like, I still feel bad, so I gave him a bow tie, and that's where the unicorn horn comes into. I had to make it look like, you know, he's having fun, he's happy to exist, and it's silly. It takes this from like a pitiful existence, in my opinion, to like something that's like kind of goofy and just fun. Like, instead of going, oh my gosh, this poor thing, this poor creature, what have I done in creating him, I'm like, ahaha, silly boy, he sells cars or something. I'm glad I was able to turn that around, because I was sitting there sketching it and I was like, this thing looks like he's in constant pain 24/7. Like, it was sad. But anyways, I can't wait to share that finished piece with you guys. His name is Cupcake, and yeah, he does sell cars. I haven't decided if he sells like knockoff cars or like used cars yet. Obviously, I'm like way too emotionally invested in that piece, but you know, I was having a great time, and you know, hopefully it'll be done soon. But anyways, on screen, I'm just using colored pencil to add a little more variety and tones and color to this piece, just because I felt like she needed to still keep that rainbow pastel vibe. So I did pull out both a blue and a orange colored pencil just to add like a little depth, a little variety, like I said. I went over her hair lots to add like a little bit of texture too, and bring in some of that color. I went through the shadows and everything, and later I do go back with the orange pencil and add a little bit to her eyes and everything. Sorry, my camera is shaking so much on screen right now. I really have to fix my setup and make it a little better. But yeah, the goal of this piece was to add visual interest to like a very simple and straightforward sketch, which I think was needed for me because I've been doing a lot of like more complicated paintings lately, a lot of like collage work and stuff, and I'm having a lot of fun with that. I'm definitely not going to stop moving in that direction anytime soon, especially I think it's been so good for me creatively, but I do like doing like simple stuff once in a while too. This is really nice for me, and it's pretty relaxing and mindless for a video too. It helps me to kind of remember that not everything has to be complicated in order to be interesting and fun. And obviously I was loving using colored pencil over gouache again, because I just went really crazy with it. I mean, here's the orange in the eyes I mentioned earlier, but I also put some like under her eyes to add like an extra layer of eyeshadow, if that makes sense. I mean, it was almost experimental for me, but to think I was kind of doing the same thing in my classes is really interesting too. I also went over her lips with the orange just because I was looking at like the red on some parts of her face and I thought it was like almost too strong, but not really. I just wanted it to look a little different. So I brought in that orange, went over her lips, went over the blush on her cheeks and nose and ear and everything, and I brought some of the orange into the hair. I just tried to make things like very, very unified. One tip I really recommend, if you're struggling to make the colors in your work look cohesive, little bits of everything in everything can help, or little bits of something in everything. So in this case, you know, adding the blue and orange into her hair and her eyes and her skin really helped them all to feel very cohesive. And it kind of works the same way when you're working on any piece, when you're trying to make the background and character and an illustration work well together. You have to think about color theory and how they're going to mesh. Obviously, there is a line. You don't want things to be so unified that they fall flat, like, a character in green clothes standing in a green forest would look pretty flat, depending on how you put it together, of course. But, little bits of everything and everything is how I usually approach these things. And it kind of helps me think about the piece as a whole rather than just fixating on one part at any given time. At this point, I was like almost ready to call the piece done. I went in with my little white gel pen and was like, some little bows on her cheeks, that'll be cute, lots of little highlights. I obviously went over those flowers I talked about earlier and made them kind of stand out. But you will see after I've added all of the necessary sparkles and everything that I do go back in with my gouache and add some splashes of color behind her to separate her from that white paper. Honestly, this part, like watching back myself adding the highlights and everything, is just really, really super satisfying. And it's really just as satisfying as actually doing it, honestly. I love adding all the little highlights to a piece. Like, it's just so much fun. I get to add in like white eyelashes and like that little ring I put on noses and stuff. I honestly, I started adding these things like just to some of my paintings back when I was just first doing them, and then they just slowly crept into like all of my paintings, so it's kind of funny to think about. Like white eyelashes was something that I only did on like certain characters, like usually it was blonde characters, and then I just slowly became so fond of adding white eyelashes onto a character that I just started doing it on all of my characters like pretty quickly. It's kind of funny how sometimes how like things can move so fast with your art style that you just don't even notice them until after the fact, and then when you really think about it, it's like kind of a weird thing. I guess that's why, like, in my personal belief, same face syndrome is not like entirely a bad thing, because it's based upon the things that you like to do and the type of art that you like to make. But anyways, I want to say thank you guys so much for watching and listening to this video, and to my ramblings. I thoroughly enjoyed painting this piece and getting to share it all with you guys. Hopefully the process was enjoyable to watch, and before I go, I want to give a real quick thank you to my Ko-fi supporters. So thank you so much to Ashley, Savvy, and Tiffany. Your guys' support means the world to me and allows me to keep making videos like this one. If you'd like to support my Ko-fi page, please head to the description box below where you'll get all these benefits and so much more. Thank you guys for watching. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed, and I'll catch you guys next time. Bye!